is the new Dell XPS 15 for 2022, and I've been using it extensively over the last month and a half, typing up documents, editing photos, and running my entire YouTube channel all from this laptop. And I've definitely got some thoughts to share with all of you guys. The XPS line from Dell has been known to be one of the most premium lineups of laptops on the market today, with beautiful edge-to-edge screens, amazing build qualities, and powerful components. And this XPS 15 is no different to that, being one of the top choices for content creators, architects, and engineers alike. My model of the XPS 15 9520 comes with an Intel Core i7-12700H CPU, an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3050 Ti GPU, 32 gigs of RAM, a 1TB SSD, and the full HD Plus 1920 by 1200 display option, with the final price coming to around 2,900 Canadian. That's almost half my tuition this year. So let's see if this laptop, it really lives up to the jack of all trades, master of none saying, and if it's worth, hold on, let me calculate this. Let's see, 2,900 divided by $65 per 44.6 UBC hoodies. Normally I'd start with the design, but the display is really the main star of this laptop because it's downright gorgeous to look at. I chose the Full HD Plus matte screen option with a resolution of 1920 by 1200. The Plus because of the extra pixels with the taller 16 by 10 aspect ratio. I love this aspect ratio because it allows me to see much more content vertically down the page compared to a traditional 16 by 9 aspect ratio screen, which reduces the need for me to scroll, and I'm just more productive like that. This display is an absolute masterpiece to stare at for hours on end each day. Even though it's only a Full HD Plus screen at 15.6 inches, at normal viewing distances, you will never see any pixels. The color accuracy and the brightness are amazing as well, covering 100% sRGB and getting as bright as 500 nits. Combine that high brightness and a matte screen, and I had no problems viewing it in bright lighting conditions. In my personal usage indoors, I can comfortably keep the brightness at 50% and not feel like I need to keep pressing the brightness up key. I even feel confident doing content creation on this display, and everything from movies to YouTube videos is a pleasure to look at, especially with those extremely thin bezels. But the display isn't the only thing that is a marvel to look at. Just looking at the XPS 15, lid open or closed, just goes to show that this is one of the most premium laptops on the market today. The silver aluminum chassis is really sturdy and well constructed. There's virtually no screen lid flex, and the chamfered edges of the XPS 15 just give it that extra touch of quality. You could honestly mistake this for a MacBook if you remove the Dell logo. But I would have liked to have seen maybe a dark gray, a blue, or even a matte black model, because I think those colors would have looked really, really cool. But I do also think that they would be fingerprint magnets as well. Holding the XPS 15 in my hands, it is quite dense, especially for a 15-inch laptop. My model with the Full HD Plus screen and the 86 watt-hour battery weighs in at 4.22 pounds or 1.92 kilograms. And I can definitely feel it when I put it in a backpack. But luckily, it compensates with its compact form factor because of its thin bezels. The XPS 15 does strike a balance between giving you a bigger 15-inch screen, but also keeping it as portable as it can be. Perfect for students like me. Opening up the laptop, and yes, it can be opened with one finger, reveals the keyboard deck of the XPS 15. And I gotta say, this is probably one of the cleanest looking decks that I've ever seen. The carbon fiber material gives the XPS 15 a soft touch feeling when you rest your palms on it, and it just feels, mwah, chef's kiss. But I will say from experience that this carbon fiber keyboard deck is very prone to fingerprints, dust, and oils. So think twice before eating that bag of chips next to the XPS 15. The keyboard of the XPS 15 is quite pleasurable to type on, but that's not really saying much from a guy who actually liked the butterfly keyboards on the older MacBooks. There's a decent 1.3 millimeters of key travel, and for me personally, it's very comfortable for me to type on. And from my observation, the keys are slightly bigger than a traditional laptop keyboard. An additional note, the function keys are mapped to their secondary functions like volume and brightness by default. I've typed the scripts for a few of my videos so far on this keyboard, and it always feels comfortable and consistent to type on. But I do understand that some people may feel this keyboard is a bit too low travel for them. But for me, I could honestly care less because I'm coming from a freaking butterfly keyboard. The trackpad is absolutely massive on the XPS 15 and rivals the MacBooks in terms of size on the keyboard deck, measuring in at 15 centimeters by 9 centimeters. The XPS 15's trackpad is one of the best Windows trackpads that I've ever used. With a glass surface and Windows precision drivers, it's very accurate and responsive even with multi-finger gestures. The only knock that I have is because the trackpad is so big and it's inevitable that your palms will make contact with the trackpad when typing, unfortunately palm rejection isn't the best, as I found my mouse cursor moving around a little bit when my palms were on the keyboard deck. Also, this is a mechanical diving board style trackpad, meaning that it physically moves when you click it, unlike MacBooks. But for a Windows trackpad, I do think it's really good. Moving on to the ports, we've got a Kensington lock and two Thunderbolt 4 USB-C ports on the left-hand side that both support charging and data transfer. On the right-hand side, we've got a headphone jack, a USB-C 3.2 Gen 2 port, and a full-size SD card reader. Yay! I absolutely love that I can charge the XPS 15 on both sides of the laptop, and the SD card reader is such a lifesaver for a content creator like myself. The only knock on the port selection is that there are no USB-A or HDMI ports, but Dell does include a small dongle in the box that will allow you to connect to those peripherals. Right above those ports are the speakers, and for a Windows laptop, they are really good. First of all, they are bottom and top firing, so they won't get as muffled if you have the XPS 15 on a blanket or on your lap. Second, they do get quite loud enough to fill a small bedroom or a dorm room quite easily, and they do sound quite clear and pronounced. That being said, if you're coming from a MacBook like me, prepare to lower your expectations a lot. Compared to MacBooks, even my old 2018 MacBook Air, the XPS 15 sounds much smaller in terms of its soundstage, and the bass is pretty much non-existent. But I still enjoy listening to audio on the XPS 15. Performance on the XPS 15 has been really fast and snappy in my time using it so far. I will make a note going into the section that there won't be many numbers or computer terms compared to many of the other more comprehensive reviewers. I will just be covering what my experience with the performance has been like on the XPS 15. Just as a reminder, my configuration of this laptop comes with an i7-12700H CPU, 32 gigs of RAM, a 1TB SSD, and an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3050 Ti GPU. Looking back, this is definitely really overkill for my usage, but I did want to future-proof myself as this will be my main computer for the next 5+ years. For light tasks like browsing the web, watching videos, and doing office work, the XPS 15 is always very snappy and responsive, never needing to turn on the fans or getting too warm to the touch. Even during photo editing or when I'm scrubbing through the timeline when video editing, the fans barely kick in. The only times I've ever heard the fans come on were during a big software update and when exporting my videos, when the fans really kicked into full gear. I do like how Dell optimized their performance profile, keeping the XPS 15 silent for light tasks and dialing the fan up to 11 during intense tasks, when you expect the fans to come on. So far, I've edited a few of my videos on this laptop, and I was really impressed with the export times, as it was pretty much rendering in real time. For my XPS 15 unboxing video, it took just over 5 minutes to export a 5-minute 1080p video upscaled to 4K. And for my AirPods 3 review, it was just around 7 minutes and 30 seconds to export a 7 minute and 53 second timeline. Much faster than the 20 plus minutes that it took with the previous computers that I used. During this time, the fans were on full blast and the laptop did get very warm to the touch, especially on the underside of the machine. But that was to be expected. Regarding battery life, unfortunately, I haven't had the chance to test it in a real world environment yet because, well, school starts for me tomorrow as of filming this. But from the time at home when I've had it unplugged and did some basic tasks like watching YouTube videos, typing up documents, and doing office work at 50% screen brightness, the My Dell app says that it should last around 7 hours. If you're doing anything more intensive like video editing or anything that uses the GPU, expect that number to drop substantially because this laptop can and does draw a lot of power, upwards of 100 watts. Covering some of these smaller aspects of the XPS 15, let's start with biometric authentication. The XPS 15 can be unlocked by Windows Hello facial recognition or by the fingerprint sensor on the power button. I personally prefer using the fingerprint sensor because I'm just more used to it, but both work very well and are consistent about 95% of the time. This is a camera and microphone test of the 720p camera on the XPS 15, and I am being lit by just some natural light right now, and as you can see, it probably looks pretty bad. I also want to make a quick note about one thing that many reviewers didn't really talk about: the insane amount of bloatware on this laptop. By default, the XPS 15 comes with a ton of extra apps that are completely unnecessary. For example, preloaded software like McAfee and Windows bloatware like Candy Crush. When I started setting up my laptop, it took me around an hour to get rid of all the unnecessary apps and bloatware, change your budgeting settings, and get the laptop to a stable, clean state. Prepare to spend at least half an hour to configure this laptop to your exact needs, especially if you're really picky like me. So far in my usage, the Dell XPS 15 has been an absolute pleasure to use on a daily basis, but it hasn't all been sunshine and roses for most users though. Dell does need to get its act together when it comes to the quality control on their laptops, especially in the XPS line. There have been many problems circulating around the community surrounding the XPS 15 in the last 2 years. One of them being the unstable trackpad problem that has a very finicky click when you click on it. The issue first appeared in the 2020 version of the XPS 15, and even though Dell said they fixed it, people are still experiencing it today. But from my observation, it may be a problem with the XPS 15s with 4K displays, but I may be wrong on that. I have also heard of problems with performance as well, with the fan running constantly or the processor being throttled to a ridiculously low speed. These are less of a prominent issue, but an issue nonetheless. And there are probably dozens of other issues that users of the XPS 15 have experienced that I haven't yet covered. Also, Dell's customer support is notorious for not being that helpful. Prepare to wait on the phone for a very long time. Fortunately, I have yet to experience any of these problems on my XPS 15, but I do just want to highlight some of the known issues out there so that you can receive the full perspective on this otherwise amazing laptop. And that is the Dell XPS 15 9524 2022. Despite its quality control issues, I still think that this is one of the best laptops that you can buy today. And there's a reason why I chose to purchase it for my own use over the next 5 or so years. All of the basics have been nailed to a T. The display, the keyboard, the trackpad, build quality, and the performance. And overall, it's just a damn good laptop that I can say is one of the best all-round computers, period. Well, folks, that's been it for this video. As always, gently tap the like button, hit that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell to be notified whenever I release a new video. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.